I hereby call the Palm Springs Special City Council meeting of April 14th, 2020 to order. City Clerk Mejia, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Everybody will please rise and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. City Clerk, please conduct a roll call.
Councilmember Garner.
Present.
Councilmember Middleton. Councilmember Middleton is present. And Councilmember Woods.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Holstich is absent, and Mayor Kors.
I'm here.
We do have a quorum.
Great, thank you. City Attorney Ballinger, can you please provide a report of the closed session?
Yes, Mayor and members of the council, members of the public, the city council met in closed session to discuss the two items that are listed on the agenda, and there was no reportable action.
Great, thank you very much. The next item is public testimony. This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the city council on the agenda item only. 2 minutes will be assigned to each speaker. Tonight, the city clerk will be contacting speakers via telephone. City clerk, please begin.
Hi, this is Bruce.
Hi, Bruce. This is Anthony calling from the Palm Springs City Council meeting. You will have 2 minutes when you're ready to begin.
Thank you. I am Bruce Hoban. I am one of the co-founders of the Vacation Rental Owners and Neighbors of Palm Springs. There's been a lot of discussion about vacation rentals since the slew of COVID-19 emergency orders began. With only 2 known exceptions, vacation rental compliance has been excellent. The data with regard to the calls to the hotline reveal a more complex situation, however. The issue is homeowners where this is a second home and they're coming to Palm Springs and their neighbors don't know who they are and call the city's vacation rental hotline. This includes both permitted rentals and owners who never rent but have a second home here. These fall into 3 categories from the available reports from 2 weeks ago. Permitted vacation legal guests, there were 28 of those. Please note that 2 rentals were found to have guests not covered by COVID. The guests were ordered to leave and the city issued $5,000 fines. Then we have permitted vacation rentals that are now owner occupied. We had 17 of those in the report. Then we had non-vacation rentals where the owner is present, and those were 11. So second homeowners are clearly confused. There is nothing in any state, city, or county order that says you must stay in your primary residence and cannot stay in your second home. The state order says stay home or at their place of residence. If any level of California government wanted to be explicitly clear, they should update their order, as was done by the El Dorado public health officer. That order explicitly states travel for owners to occupy their second home is considered to be non-essential. This applies to all homeowners, not just vacation rentals. VRON agrees with, understands, and supports the intent to have everybody stay in their primary non-Palm Springs residence and do not come here. VRON has supported the mayor, the city manager, the city attorney, and staff since the very beginning of the emergency orders. However, in closing, many primary residents believe they have the choice to leave urban areas and come to their more rural secondary homes or condos. We need to fix this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bruce, and we'll disconnect now.
This is John.
Hi, John. This is Anthony Mejia calling from the Palm Springs City Council meeting. If you could please state your name, and you'll have 2 minutes to begin your comments.
Hi, this is John McCoy, and I'm following up on Bruce's statements here relating to communication efforts to get the information in the orders across. So the city, at this time, the city has no way to reach every Palm Springs homeowner except by U.S. mail addressed to the owner's mailing address, according to the county tax records. In the past, some outreach efforts have been mailed to Palm Springs property addresses only. Since these orders affect all secondary homeowners, not just owners of vacation rentals, the mailing address makes a difference. This has not been done, so there are potentially owners who do not understand the orders. Second, VRUN has been working with an updated and comprehensive email list of all permitted homeowners. We have stepped up our communication efforts. Instead of our usual emails to members only, we have been blasting out approximately 1,900 emails to all vacation rental homeowners and agencies. We emailed in its entirety the first city order, then the clarified city order, and then the county order redefining rentals at all hotels and vacation rentals as 60 days or less. We have received hundreds of emails back with questions from both VRUN members and non-members. VRUN has also hosted 2 agency-only Zoom calls and 1 non-agency Zoom call where we walked everyone through the emergency orders. VRUN and the Office of Special Program Compliance have been working together to update the legally required contract summary submittal website, which requires the check-in and check-out dates and name of the guest. This update includes a feature that no new bookings are allowed after March 2020 without first reading the COVID-19 allowable exemptions, then identifying one of 3 possible exemptions and uplift notification. Yes.
Your time is up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your work, and let us know if we can be of assistance.
Thank you.
Good evening, Gretchen Gutierrez.
Hi, Gretchen. This is Anthony calling from the Palm Springs City Council meeting. You'll have 2 minutes, and you can begin your comments when you're ready.
Thank you, Anthony. Good evening, Mayor Kors, members of the City Council, and members of the city staff. As addressed, my name is Gretchen Gutierrez. I am the CEO of the Desert Valley Builders Association. And tonight I'm speaking to you on behalf of our association, our board of directors, and most importantly, our members. And we appreciate all of the areas related to the public's health and safety that you all, as elected leaders of the city, have been addressing for the past month plus. As stated in my letter submitted earlier today for the record and your information, the construction industry, as one of the recognized essential services at this time, has undertaken significant operational changes, both within each of our companies and every building and trade type firm, locally, regionally, and across the country. All of our member companies here locally have undergone significant shifts in how they do business on a day-to-day basis. We as DVBA and our members continue to support the city of Palm Springs and Riverside County through the various local and regional emergency orders that have been enacted, and the order before you this evening related to face coverings and social distancing. We urge the consideration specifically be given to the enforcement policies and procedures of this order and any preceding orders or any subsequent orders that may come about, and that those measures be appropriate to the myriad of situations that are arising within our industry as we are remaining open during this particular period of time. We will continue to move forward towards recovery and a stronger economic base, but we have all got to work together in order to get to that end goal. With that, we as an industry stand supportive of what is occurring at the local agencies and levels. We thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. And on behalf of the Desert Valley Builders Association, we are ready and available to assist the city wherever necessary. Thank you much, and have a pleasant evening.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, is this Anna Cabral?
Yes, this is Honest.
Hi, this is Anthony calling from the Palm Springs City Council meeting.
Good afternoon.
Hi, you'll have 2 minutes to begin your comments, and you can begin when you're ready.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor Kors and members of the council. As mentioned, my name is Ana Cabral, and I am with UFCW Local 1167. Our union represents 19,000 essential workers in grocery, pharmacy, and retail stores. They maintain the food supply for all residents of Palm Springs and the rest of the country during this pandemic. I would like to thank you all for your hard work and leadership in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis. I'm here to say that we are in full support of the proposed emergency order requiring all essential businesses to ensure that all customers, visitors, and employees wear face coverings while inside the essential business. We also believe that enforcing that businesses not permit entry to any person not wearing a face covering is essential in ensuring the health and safety of workers and customers. And this is a clear way to flatten the curve. I would like to ask that the city look at additional measures to further protect the health and safety of workers. And these measures include limiting the number of customers allowed inside the store at any given time from 20 to 30% of occupancy. This will ensure social distancing is being followed. There should be security guards on site to help with crowd control, to help with any unruly customers. Staff should also be assigned to entrance and exit of each store to help mitigate how many customers are inside the store at a time. Employers must allow workers to wash their hands every 30 minutes or as needed. Employers must also provide workers with proper PPE, access to sanitary rooms, and there should be constant sanitation of the stores at the end of the day. Essential businesses must follow all Cal OSHA guidelines. Companies must inform workers of proper precautions to take when employees in stores test positive for COVID-19. And then finally, enforcement is very important in every part of the stuff that I mentioned above. Enforcement language ensures that companies follow all the guidelines designated by the city and the state. And with that, I do want to say thank you, and we look forward to continuing working with the city of Palm Springs.
Okay, thank you, and we'll disconnect now.
Thank you.
Hello,
Hello, Daryl Terrell.
this is he.
Hi, this is Anthony calling from the Palm Springs City Council meeting, and you'll have 2 minutes, and you can begin now.
Okay, I want to thank you, City Council and the Mayor, for your leadership. But also with this order, we must take necessary more steps, and the city should require essential businesses to submit and implement social distancing protocol plans to extent practical, and they would have to be prepared to explain why any measure that is not implemented is applicable to the businesses. The protocol plan will consist of the following: measures to protect employee health, measures to prevent crowds from gathering, measures to keep people at least 6 feet apart, measures to prevent unnecessary contact, like providing for contactless payment systems or, if feasible, sanitizing the payment systems regularly, measures to increase sanitization. Well, what I was thinking about, these protocols will act like a conditional use permit for essential businesses during this pandemic. Like a business who violates their conditional use permit, the city council or police chief should shut that business down because it has become a menace. And I was thinking about the conditional use permits you use for like the nightclubs and other businesses. It's time to set an example and and inform these businesses that if you are not following your protocols, that you will be shut down. You got to make an example of these businesses and know that people's lives are in stake. So if you hear people say we ain't the police, managers saying that, then it's okay. Where's your protocols? If you're not following them, then we will shut you down. We got to mean business. And you guys you have done a lot of work and you have done a great job, but it's time to have these businesses to implement plans that promote this. And if they don't fall like a conditional use permit, then if they violate any of the conditions, then you should shut them down. Yes.
That concludes.
That's it.
That's your time.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, is this Darlene Vacklund?
Yes, it is.
Hi, this is Anthony calling from the Palm Springs City Council meeting. And
Oh, good.
you're live with the City Council, and you'll have 2 minutes to make your comments.
Okay, and my understanding is that the City Council is discussing COVID-19, and I'm hoping that the City Council does not close down the hiking trails in Palm Springs. I'm a hiker as well as a race walker working out daily, and have found as I hike, people are so very respectful on the trails in giving distance and wearing their masks. So I just want to let you know that it's most impressive on the trails. And I hope that they're kept open for those of us who need that exercise. That's really all I wanted to say, and appreciate your time and energy.
Thank you, and have a good night.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, that concludes public comment.
Great. Thank you very much. So the only agenda item tonight is an update on emergency order requirements and enforcement related to coronavirus COVID-19. So, City Manager, can we get a staff report, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. What we wanted to do this evening is we just wanted to give you an update on where we are with the enforcement in terms of our executive orders. Yesterday, we issued an additional order that was with regard to face coverings. We wanted to make sure that everyone was following the county orders that face coverings must be worn outside, but we also wanted to make sure that when people went to essential businesses that they were wearing their face coverings, and also the employees within those establishments needed to be wearing the face coverings. That being said, we thought we should promulgate that rule to make it clear. We wanted to provide everything we can in terms of an educational campaign for our residents. And I would ask the police chief to come forward, and he can give you a little background on how we're actually going to deploy this, what he's seen on enforcement of the rules at our trails, and other things that we wanted to share with you, and then if there's any direction that we need. But primarily wanted to just make sure everyone is aware of the rules and let them know where they can find those resources. So the police chief actually is right here up on the dais. Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'll start off with the trails. That is quite important to a lot of our residents in the city of Palm Springs, and I must echo the previous caller's comments in regards to the compliance that we are getting feedback on the actual trails themselves. Everything she said as it relates to people being very respectful, keeping their distance, wearing their masks, is the exact same information that we are receiving at the police department. However, what we are hearing some complaints that continue to occur is people congregating near the trailheads or a short distance away as they walk up to the trailhead itself. So I would highly suggest that people be mindful of the importance of keeping your distance as you traverse over to the various trails throughout our city. Now, as it relates to the recent order signed by our city manager in regards to essential workers, what we are doing as a police department is we started today a few hours ago going out to the various grocery stores, identifying the store manager on site and communicating with that store manager of the recent directive that was signed by our city manager. We're providing them a copy of that directive, and we're answering any questions they may have in regards to that directive. And we're also supplying those store managers with signage that they can post outside their stores that has been developed and provided by our city. So that's where we're starting today. Tomorrow we'll likely get to the rest of the grocery stores and then expand upon your Home Depots, Lowe's, and other essential businesses that continue to remain open at this time.
Could you walk us through a couple slides? You wanted some people to have that information on and the signage for the face cover.
Absolutely.
So Aaron, could you put up the hotline slide, please?
So this slide here, if we can take a few moments to keep this slide up, it's very important to understand that we have this dedicated direct line into the Palm Springs Police Department. This line is staffed with a live person that will answer the phone 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Now this specific line, the 760-323-8159, is very specific to COVID-19 violations. And we are looking for violations of either businesses that are non-essential that are opening or any significant gatherings that are occurring. This is not a line to notify us in regards to a person walking down the street without a mask on. We must keep in mind that we all have the opportunity when we witness those violations, such as a person that doesn't not have a mask on, that is walking down the street or in a store, is just to remind them that we have this directive in place citywide throughout the city of Palm Springs, and so that we all work together to get back to what we appreciate about the great city of Palm Springs. And again, it's very important that feel free to take it upon yourself to politely ask your fellow person that's not wearing a mask to put on a mask or obtain one, or a face covering, not necessarily a mask, instead of calling these violations into our line and expect us to go out there to recontact that person. We need to keep in mind that we still have a call volume flow that we must prioritize, and we will always do that on all calls for service. But if you do your part to help us, we can all get through this together.
Thank you, Chief. And then we have the other slides that we'd like to show, which is the new signage we have for social distancing. And so we're pushing these out on obviously all our social media platforms, and we'll also be supplying these signs to the grocery stores and other essential businesses. Thank you. And Council, we also have the fire chief here and our emergency management coordinator. So if there's any additional questions you have, or we'll send it back to you, Mayor, for discussion with the entire council. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So anyone on council have questions for staff? Councilmember Middleton.
This is for Chief Reyes. Can you talk about the efforts that you're taking to protect the safety of your officers as they're interacting with people, and are there additional protections that they need?
Thank you very much for inquiring about our staff. Our staff has had a tremendous amount of support from our city managers, seeing to it that we have all the necessary equipment to function as a police department and serve our community. In regards to what we have going on within our facility, all staff are required to wear face covering within our building. They're all staying within their own division, so there's very little movement from one division to the next. We have executive staff meetings, supervisory meetings that take place via technology instead of meeting in person. And in the field, they're all required to have a face covering when they're out in the field and in public. They are getting their temperature checked at 2 points of entry within our facility. So we have a lot of checks and balances within our facility, and also how they operate in regards to rules and regulations out in the field. But also we have policy in place as it relates to our employees should they be exposed to such a situation where they have the option of being quarantined in local hotels where we've secured a block of rooms until we get them tested. And we do have also in place a means for them to get tested in a fast manner. So we do have everything that we need as a police department to continue to serve our community.
Thank you. Chief Nalder, I know you spoke the last meeting about some of the efforts that you've done, but specifically when it comes to interacting with the public, what efforts are you taking to protect your staff?
So it's the same as the last council meeting. So we're actually minimizing our exposure in public. When we do go out in public, they have to wear full PPE. They wear goggles, masks. They don't wear the gowns and gloves only on the medical calls. All of our training is within each individual station. So we're not doing multi-company training. We're not cross-contaminating any of our fire stations, just like we have been in the past couple of weeks. We've got plenty of PPE. We actually have more PPE on the way, so we're set. Our firefighters are fully protected. We've had one more that had to go get tested last week, but also tested negative, so it's a total of 6. So we're still at full force at this time.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have any questions for staff?
And Mayor, I would also note that Veronica Goodhart, our Special Programs Administrator, is with us here if you have any questions on the vacation rentals.
Sure. And actually, if no one else does, I'll go to questions. And my first one was that I know we heard from 2 folks from the Vacation Rental Owners Network that provided data. I just want to, is that our most up-to-date data from Veronica? And any update on what you're seeing, Veronica, would be helpful.
Okay, we actually updated the stats through this past weekend, and it was consistent with what Veron stated, with the majority of the homes being authorized. With the majority of the rentals being occupied by the homeowners. We did have the total of 2 citations plus an additional for renting, doing advertising for rentals. We do have updated the online contract summary tool where you're now required to attach your documentation, and that's reviewed in real time to determine if the rental is valid.
Okay, thank you. So you're continuing to check ads and trying to rent a place to see if you can rent it for vacation purposes?
Yes, we're doing that daily.
Okay, great, thank you. And I have just one more question, and maybe more the city attorney, on the city's order on, allowing use of property for less than permanent use. So I know Mr. Hogan mentioned the issue of people coming here from maybe the city. I know Los Angeles, you can't travel to or from there to be in a vacation home. And he mentioned El Dorado City is another example. So some of the calls I'm getting or emails I'm getting are people who, the neighbor who is either a friend of the owner or is on the permanent list, but as a friend is coming and staying for the weekend and going back, or the owner's coming and going. So is that allowed under our order and under the county saying now you can only leave your home for essential travel purposes?
Under the state and county order, as well as our order, having friends and family come out and stay at a second home is not allowed. It's a little bit less clear with regard to second homeowners if they are going out to their own property, but certainly friends and family should not be here. And even those who are visiting their second home really should be discouraged from coming out here, because that's taxing the local infrastructure, healthcare infrastructure, as well as the food chain infrastructure. So we would discourage folks from spending time at their second home.
Okay, so as of right now, you would say that our order, the county order, prohibits, it would be a violation for someone to have their friends come out and stay in their second home if it's not very specifically COVID-19 related.
Correct.
And that's whether it's registered as a short-term vacation rental or isn't registered as a short-term vacation rental.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so if we get calls like that come into the city, or Veronica gets them through the vacation rental hotline, are we enforcing that?
Yes, the Special Programs Department is responding to those calls and referring them to the Code Enforcement Department.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else have a question just on this issue? Go ahead, Dennis, and then Lisa.
No, I just want to say that it sounds to me like staff is being proactive on two levels. One is on finding people who might be renting, one, and then secondly is enforcing if they are. And then thirdly, I think that between VRON and our city, we're trying to notify everyone of what the guidelines are and the rules are so people play fairly in this process.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Middleton?
Yes, thank you, and I appreciate the efforts that we're doing, and I think we should be discouraging this type of travel. But Mr. Ballinger, when it came to owners of second homes, the word I heard was discourage, which is a very different word than it is illegal.
Right, and that's based on the governor's order. I mean, the governor's order talks about staying at home or your primary residence, and so I think that's broad enough to include your second home. So that's why I would use the word discourage.
I think discourage is appropriate, and bear in mind also many of our residents have second homes and tend to use them more frequently in the summer months. So we don't know how many of our own residents are going to want to be traveling in the next few months to a second home somewhere else in the mountains, at a lake, on the beach, someplace where it's cooler. And I think we should discourage travel that's unnecessary. But we've got to be realistic about what we can effectively enforce as well.
Anyone else have anything on this one? Okay, next, I don't know if this is for the city manager or Chief Reyes, but can you talk a little bit? There's been just a lot of questions about fines, and I appreciate there's sort of a larger group of fines which are really directed if businesses open who shouldn't be, or if businesses, after they've been notified, start letting people into the stores without face coverings. And there's been some concern that there are very large fines that are being levied on individuals who walk out of their house and forget a face covering. So can you just explain how that's all working and what those fines are?
Certainly, Mayor. The fee schedule as relates to the fines can start off as low as $100 and progress to $250, $500, and then obviously the big fines. We have the options of the $5,000, $10,000, and $25,000. I'm happy to note that at this time, although we've made many contacts with a variety of businesses and people throughout our community, we have not issued any citations thus far. However, I do see that we will be ramping up our efforts in contacting people that are in violation. Again, our complete intent has been from the onset, and it continues to be compliance through education. Our initial contacts will be for the purpose of educating the public of the importance of adhering to the rules that have come forth via these directives.
Okay. But if you see people deliberately repeat violators, at the time you'd issue a citation?
Yes. What we do is when we contact people and we either provide them with a copy of the directive and educate them on the importance of following through, we log their names whenever we contact somebody. So if we should run into the same person a second time, it's going to show that history in our computer system that they've previously been warned and the circumstances surrounding that initial contact.
Okay, I think that's helpful. And then if a non-essential business opens, I know we have done some fines there, so those will continue. So businesses who are not following the rules.
Yes, businesses that are not following the rules are just like anybody else that we contact. Our intent from the onset is to initially make contact, educate them, provide them a copy with the directive that was recently signed, and answer any potential questions that they may have in regards to the directive. If there's any questions they need answers to, we will get them the answers. But if they continue to violate those directives, we will be responding back, and they will likely get a citation.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Bunch more questions is probably more the city attorney. Just questions people are asking that I think we may know the answers to, but I want to make sure they do. So currently, you're only supposed to go on hikes or to parks if they're within walking distance. That's what the rules are, correct?
That's correct. That's what the county order says, and that's why we have implemented parking restrictions at the parking lots and the streets that are surrounding our trailheads. We want to discourage people from driving to those hiking trails.
Okay, great. And I've checked with the county today because this comes up several times, but non-essential businesses cannot do curbside pickup. The only businesses that do curbside pickup are essential businesses, so grocery stores, pharmacies, restaurants.
Correct.
Okay. Now, there's been questions about non-essential businesses when people are allowed to go in for the minimum things they can do. So, for example, there are some businesses that have reported that they're in there, making their product that they then will ship out or deliver, and they think they're allowed to do that, which my reading of the county order is they aren't. So can you explain what is essential for a non-essential business that they can actually go to their place of business, not at their house, to do?
Sure. If it's a non-essential business, then really the only reason they should be going into the location is to maintain the minimum essential activities that will be required in order for them to reopen once our stay-at-home orders as they get lifted. So if you need to make sure that the property is secure and protect the security systems of the business, or if you need to maintain the inventory and make sure that it isn't going bad and keep it fresh, you can do that. But you should not be going in there and using this opportunity to remanufacture or manufacture new goods or wares. This is not the time for doing that. It's really the bare minimum that's necessary to keep the business present so that it's able to open up once we start lifting these stay-at-home orders.
Okay, and just so everyone knows, non-essential businesses also can't be by appointment only, one person in at a time. They can't allow anyone in the public ever inside. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Last is a question, because it's come up from some folks, is there are people, and I've heard from several seniors and people with health issues over the last couple of days, in fact, about being in apartment buildings, and that in the common areas, other residents are not following the rules, right? They're not keeping social distancing, they're not wearing face coverings. And so one of the questions is there a way we can, and this may be more the city manager, notify building owners or others, or push out information that the rules apply in common areas of multifamily residences? Because those people are understandably very scared, especially people who are at high risk of getting very sick or dying from COVID-19.
I would think, Mayor, we certainly, obviously as part of the educational campaign, social media and whatever contacts we have, I don't know that we have specific lists at our disposal of actual apartment homes that's knowable. So let me talk with staff a little bit to see how the best way is to approach that. But I think over just the general educational efforts that we're trying within the community, that's certainly going to be a part of it. But let me try and figure out the best way to accomplish it.
And also, if we could do sort of what we've done with some of the other things, just a one-pager that we could have on the website so tenants could get it and send it to their landlords, I think that could be really helpful as well. That may be an easy way to get that to the landlords so the tenants know it's there, especially if they have out-of-town landlords. So that's all I have for questions. Anyone else have any other questions or want to make any comments? Councilmember Woods, you're on mute. There you go.
Thank you. This is for the chief. Is there any truth to the rumor that we are actually stopping people in their cars on the street and asking them what their essential business is?
No, there's no truth to that at all. If anything, the only possible scenario that I can see that coming about is if an officer witnesses a traffic violation or there's initial probable cause for a traffic stop. During that traffic stop, there may be a conversation that covers that, but there's no officers going out there initiating traffic stops for that purpose at all.
Thank you.
Nothing else, just two comments. So, and one is sort of starting on some positive news because people have overwhelmingly been incredibly cooperative and following the rules, and how much that's appreciated by all of us. It's so important right now. We're still having community spread even though we're through 2 14-day incubation periods. We're now 4 weeks from when we met and did the stay-at-home order for Palm Springs. And we need people to just stay with this because the sooner we all stay with this and community spread stops, the sooner we're going to return to some sense of normalcy, be able to have more businesses open, be able to see our family and friends who we don't live with. But I think we all very much appreciate the vast majority, overwhelming majority, are following the rules, and that means a great deal. And if you look at the results that we've had here compared to other places, especially even the state, shortly after we issued the rules in late March, I think around March 23rd, we had 20% of the deaths in the entire state of California were in the Coachella Valley. 6 out of 33. We're now only 2.5% with 19 deaths in the Coachella Valley out of 758. So we've increased about 3 times when the state's increased more than 200 times. So what people are doing is making a difference. It's working. And it's so important to share that because it's really hard for all of us to be going through this, to not be able to see our friends, to not be able to go to work for many people, and to really limit what we can do. But it is having a major impact. We're seeing it in California. We're really seeing it here in the Coachella Valley. So I wanted to share that. I also wanted to share a little bit about, the order that was issued yesterday by the city manager, and really appreciate the time and effort to get that done. But we know that the frontline workers are still getting infected. And there have been 30 grocery workers who have died and over 3,000 likely infected. And that's just the ones who are represented by the United Food and Commercial Workers. We know that nationally 9,000 healthcare workers are infected. And we've seen what's happened in the sheriff's office and other places for public safety officials. And so the more we follow the rules, the more we limit impact with those people and limit contact with those people, the safer they're going to be and the safer we're all going to be. And to respect them and their families who are putting themselves on the line for us is so important. So I really just want to thank people, but urge people to really follow these rules and take these precautions. The last thing I just wanted to ask is that for the next city council meeting, and I've sent some drafts along with Mayor Pro Tem Holster to the city attorney about some additional rules for us to consider for the frontline workers to protect them during this crisis. And so if we could bring something forward for council to discuss and really discuss any further steps we might want to take, and we'll have some samples out that can go out with the agenda packet. So does anyone else have any other comments, questions? Councilmember Middleton.
Thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank you for your comments, and I support them completely. We also need to thank all of the people who are voluntarily complying with the directions that have been given. And overwhelmingly, as I go out, I see people who are gloved, they are wearing masks, they're wearing face coverings. They're doing what we want and what we need people to do. In New York City, the death rate over the last month is double what it has normally been. That's the stakes that we are dealing with here. And there are some folks out there who are trying to deny that people are at risk. They are at risk. All of us are, and particularly in a community like ours, where there are so many seniors and so many individuals with compromised immune systems. It is critical that we follow the rules And one of the things I encourage all of us to do, when you see someone out on the street who is gloved and masked, give them a wave. Say thank you to them for observing the behaviors that we're asking everyone to do. And as the chief said, when you see someone who's not working with us, it's not the time to get into an argument, but it is the time to remind them that we all have a responsibility to help one another. One of the things that the research has absolutely shown is individuals who are asymptomatic can still be carriers of this COVID-19. And simply because you don't think you are.
Yes, so we've sent the city attorney a draft of it already, and we'll be having conversation with him tomorrow on what it'll look like. And it'll have some options so council can weigh them, add more, take some out, and then decide if we want to move forward with it.
Okay, so it would be introduction of an ordinance is what the expectation is, or a discussion item at this point?
No, I think it would sort of be a draft of an order. How would we do it, Mr. Valentine?
Yeah, under our municipal code, it could be done as an order. It doesn't need to be done as an ordinance. And so we could do that. It might be helpful to get some direction from council, but
So
it could be as an order.
So it could be discussion and direction to the city manager, who can then issue an order. Is that correct? Is that how we should do it?
Correct, and it's basically a lot of what we heard from the representative from the grocery workers union.
Correct, and we'll want to get some input from just the police and fire chief as well to make sure that anything else they think they need, we can include in that as well to protect our public safety staff. Is that?
Yeah, that helps me. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Anyone? Okay. Councilmember Garner.
Just one more thing, because I know that people are still getting this information. Just a reminder that there is a food bank on Thursdays, the first and third Thursdays of every month at the Convention Center now. And there's also one at the James O. Jesse Center on the second and fourth Thursdays. And all of that information is on the city website if you need it, or you know someone else who needs it. And you can always pick up food for a neighbor or someone else who maybe doesn't want to go or can't go to the location.
Oh, great, thank you. And it's a good reminder that city staff have done a great job accumulating information. I know council members have sent information in on the website, so people can get all this information on our website. Worker benefits, unemployment information, business loan information, links, all the nonprofits that we've been able to get who are providing direct services and what they are, with contact information for people who are able to and want to contribute to organizations that are doing direct services, food, other services. They can also reach those organizations. There are links on the website. We've also done 2 webinars, one for businesses and one for workers and residents. Those are both on the website. You can watch those if you didn't get to see them. They both have a lot of information for folks, and we'll continue to be updating that. And just for the city manager, really thank you and staff for doing such a great job and keeping the website such a great tool for our residents and businesses. So with that, we will adjourn to the next regular city council meeting, which will be on Thursday, April 23rd, 2020 at 6 p.m. Be safe and stay at home. Thank you, everyone.